Financial statement analysis. We have discussed the different components of financial statements, such as the statement of financial position, traditionally known as the balance sheet, statement of comprehensive income, also known as income statement, statement of cash flow, wherein we discussed about operating activity, investing activity, and financing activity as the source of cash, okay? Inflow or outflow of cash. Statement of changes in owner's equity, the shareholder's equity, composed of income, okay? As well as retained earnings, okay? And the notes to financial statement. The Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, requires the firm to submit the audited financial statement. Moreover, the Bureau of Internal Revenue requires the firm as well as individuals whose gross sales exceeds 3 million pesos. Now let's focus on the financial statement of the firm, okay, particularly the corporation. These statements are primary means to communicate the material financial information to its users regarding the operating performance, profitability, and the ability of the company to meet its obligation. However, users cannot easily determine the financial status of the company by merely looking at the values stated in the financial statement. So we have to determine what is the effect or impact of these values or ratios in the financial health of the firm. Moreover, the financial statement, aside from its components, the firm is required to present the different ratios such as liquidity, solvency, activity, and profitability ratios to provide a glimpse of the financial health of the firm. Okay, so in this chapter, we will focus on the analysis of financial statement using the following techniques: horizontal analysis, vertical analysis, financial ratios as mentioned a while ago, and the DuPont technique. Okay. Let's begin with horizontal analysis. It is a method of comparing the peso value or amount of particular line item in the financial statement, statement of comprehensive income, or cash flow statement over 2 or more consecutive accounting period. Okay? As the term implies, horizontal. So you have here the analysis on a yearly basis. Say, for example, 2022, okay, comparing the performance of the firm with 2023 year, okay? And of course, there can be an interim financial statement for 2024, okay? On the other hand, vertical analysis provides the method of comparing the result of the performance of the firm based on either sales or total asset. So for income statement account, we base it on sales. Okay? While for balance sheet account, we base it on total asset. Okay? It shows that for vertical analysis, okay, we are going to determine the percentage on a yearly basis. Okay? And we are not going to compare it with, okay, the result of the financial performance last period and for the next period, because that is horizontal analysis. Okay? So going back, horizontal analysis is also known as trend analysis, which provides assessment of significant increase or decrease in the different items of financial statement. Thus, in performing horizontal analysis as a technique, we can use the peso value or percentage change for comparison and evaluation of companies' performance. Let us illustrate, okay, the concept of horizontal analysis, okay, by using this table, FSA Corporation Statement of Financial Position for the year 2014 and 2015. So you have here cash, 800 million in millions. Okay. In 2014, it increased by 100 million in 2015. Accounts receivable, it decreased by 200 million and inventory increased by 50 million. So the total current asset is 2.8 million and we have here 2.75 million. Okay. While the total non-current asset is 8,200 and 7,250, okay, in million. And the total asset, we have 11,000 and 10,000, okay, and convert it in million. While the total shareholders' equity, we have 3,100, okay, 1,800, and the non-current liabilities, 5.9 and 6.3, okay. Total current liability 2 and 1.9. And of course, the total asset based on accounting equation should be equal to total liabilities and equity. So you have 11 million, okay, 11 million, 10 million, 10 million. Okay. Applying the trend analysis or horizontal analysis, okay, we use the peso value. Okay. Now, the amount of cash and cash equivalent for year 2015 was increased by 100 million as mentioned a while ago. Okay. While the notes payable decreased by 150 million. Okay. So you're just going to compare the valuation. So 800, the trend, it increased by 100 million, while the notes payable from 1.6 million, it decreased by 150 million. Okay. So you have 1,450. Okay. So 1.6, 1,450. So that's 0.15. Okay. It decreased by 150 million. The increase in amount of cash may signify that there are revenues generated or inflow of cash are more than the outflow. On the other hand, the decrease in notes payable, of course, if there is decrease in payable, it shows that there are probably payment of obligations made by FSA Corporation. Now, aside from analyzing horizontally, okay, based on peso value, you can also use the percentage, okay, change. So comparison and analysis, there is a need to convert the peso value into percentages, okay, wherein prior period values will serve as the base amount. Okay, so last period, okay, versus current period. Okay, so this is how we compute the percentage change. So we have prior period versus the current period divided by the prior period. Okay, so say for example, as to cash and cash equivalent, we have 800 million for year 2014, 900 million for 2015. So there is a reported 12.5% increase in the value of cash or 112.5%, okay, of cash value of the prior period. Okay? So this is how we compute for the percentage change. Current year, 900 million. Okay? Prior year, 800 million divided by prior year. So that's 12.5. On the other hand, the notes payable from 1.6 billion for year 2014 to 1.45 billion. Okay? In 2015, so it decreased by 150 million. Okay? So 1,450 less 1.6 divided by 1.6. So this is a percentage decrease by 9.375. Okay? So that is for horizontal analysis. So take note of this. Okay? Current year minus prior year divided by prior year. Okay. So let's proceed to vertical analysis. It is a technique that involves assessment of different line items in a single period. Okay, single period. So, as discussed a while ago, okay, we are going to analyze for year 2023. Then you are going to use the total asset, okay, in analyzing the balance sheet accounts, while the sales, okay, as the base amount in analyzing the income statement account. Okay? These items, which are commonly known as the financial statements, using their peso value shall be expressed in percentage of total amount or a base amount. In this technique, the financial managers can appropriately evaluate financial information of companies of different sizes, because using percentage for comparison provides more useful and relevant conclusion than using peso values. Okay? So in addition, the vertical analysis is performed on statement of financial position, balance sheet, wherein the base amount in calculating the percentages is, okay, again, we have the total asset, while the base amount in computing for the percentages in income statement is the sales. So you have total asset and net sales. Okay? This is also known as common-sized financial statement, because you have already converted the peso value in terms of percentages. Okay? So common-sized balance sheet and common-sized income statement. So let us illustrate. Okay, again, let us use the statement of financial position of FSA Corporation for year 2015 as shown in table 1. Okay, so this is again the financial statement. Okay, a while ago we just compared the value, peso value or percentages, okay, of prior year versus current year. Now this time we are not going to compare the prior year and current year, but we're going to, okay, convert this peso value in terms of percentages. Okay. So, say for example, okay, in computing for the percentage, okay, or common size balance sheet, the base amount is the 10 billion, okay, total asset. So for cash and cash equivalent, the peso value is 900 million as shown in table 3.1 or 3-1. It shall be divided by 10 billion. Okay? So we have here 9%. Okay? So 900 million, divide this by 10 billion. Okay? While for PPE, we have 49%. Okay? So this shows that the non-current asset, okay, of the firm comprises 72.5% of the total asset. Okay? So as to solvency, okay, the firm is solvent. As to liquidity, only 27.5%, okay, of the total asset is composed of current asset. On the other hand, with regard to liability, we have 19%. So this is 1.9 billion divided by 10 billion. Okay? While total non-current liability is 63%, 6.3 billion divided by 10 billion. Okay? So that is how you determine, okay, the percentages in terms of balance sheet account. Okay? On the other hand, when applying this technique to statement of comprehensive income, income and expenses are compared to net sales. For example, if net sales revenue of FSA is 50 million and the total cost of goods sold is 25 million, the cost of goods sold will be reported as 50% of net sales. Moreover, if the net income amounted to 5 million, the said net income will be presented as 5%. This is computed by simply dividing 5 million, okay, by 50 million. While cost of goods sold, 25 million, divide it by 50 million. Okay? So that is for vertical analysis. Okay? Now, with regard to the next technique, financial ratio, okay, we will focus on the following. Okay? We have the liquidity ratio, which measures the ability of the firm to meet its short-term obligation. Okay? So, L, liquidity, S, short-term. Okay? So, the ability of the firm to pay its currently maturing debt. Okay? Short-term. Okay? While leverage ratio, or also known as, okay, solvency ratio, okay, solvency, it measures the ability of the company or the firm to meet its long-term obligation when they fall due. Okay? So for non-current obligation, okay, we have to check on the leverage ratio. For currently maturing debt, okay, the ability of the firm to pay its short-term obligation, liquidity ratio. Okay? Aside from liquidity and solvency, we also have activity ratio and profitability ratio. Okay? Activity ratio measures how the company productively uses or manages its asset. While profitability ratio measures the overall financial performance of the firm and its return on investment. Okay? So, remember the acronym LSAP. Okay? LSAP. LISAP. Liquidity, solvency or leverage, activity, and profitability ratio. As to profitability ratio, okay, we have the so-called return, okay, return on sales, return on asset, return on equity. We also have the so-called margin, okay? So we have gross profit margin, okay, operating profit margin, and net profit margin. And of course, we have earnings, earnings per share, okay, price earnings ratio, payout ratio. Okay. Now for activity ratio, we will focus on the turnover. Okay? We have asset turnover ratio. Okay? Inventory turnover. Okay? We also have AR turnover. Okay? AR. ARTO. And we also have AP turnover. Okay? Asset turnover is a ratio which provides that the asset, okay, produces revenue. Okay? How fast the asset of the firm produces revenue. Inventory turnover shows how fast the firm will sell its inventory, okay, to the customer. On the other hand, AR turnover, okay, ARTO, provides how fast the firm will collect its receivable from the client or customer. While AP turnover, okay, shows how fast the firm pays its accounts payable. Okay? So aside from turnover, you also have to consider the cycle. Okay? We have the so-called normal operating cycle and cash conversion cycle. Okay? So take note of that. While with regard to liquidity ratio, we have the so-called current ratio, okay, acid test ratio, and cash ratio. On the other hand, leverage ratio provides, okay, the debt ratio, equity ratio, debt to equity ratio. So we're going to discuss, okay, the different classifications of these ratios, okay, as we cover the topic on financial statement. So going back, financial ratio as a tool and technique in financial analysis is the comparison between one of financial information with another financial information. So we are going to divide, okay, an item in the balance sheet account, okay, versus another item in the balance sheet account, or an item in income statement versus an item in income statement, as well as balance sheet versus income statement, and vice versa. This comparison formulates relationship that provides relevant information, okay? Relevant information in evaluating the operating performance and financial condition of the company. Okay? So if you are the creditor of the firm, you can check on the ability of the firm to pay its debt. So you can focus on liquidity and leverage. Say for example, for banks, okay, in evaluating whether or not they will approve the application for loan, okay, they can focus on the long term, okay, ability of the firm, okay, to pay its debt as well as the short term. On the other hand, if you are one of the investors or prospective stockholder, okay, you can initially check on profitability. Okay, if I will invest, will it be profitable? Okay, how much of my shareholdings, okay, will be converted into income, so earnings per share. Okay, and you can also check on the activity ratio. Is the firm uh, an income generating company? Okay, does its asset generates revenue? How fast? Okay, then you can also check on the ability of the firm to pay its debt. Okay, so as an investor, if the retained earnings, say for example, is negative, so there is a deficit, so you can forego. You can consider another investment. Okay, you can look into another firm with high retained earnings, high profitability. Okay, if the firm is um, generating a very low sales, resulting to deficit, considering that there are expenditures that you have to cover, then as an investor, do not consider this kind of firm. Okay? Moreover, if the said firm, okay, has a high level of debt, okay, they might have a problem with regard to liquidity, okay, as well as leverage, okay, or solvency. Okay, so these are the ratios that you have to consider, not only as a creditor, but also as an investor. On the other hand, as a firm, you have to consider also the following ratios, no? Because in the notes to financial statement, okay, you have to present these ratios to give a glimpse of the financial health of the firm. Okay? So instead of letting your investor compute, no, for the ratios, okay, liquidity, solvency, activity, or profitability, you can provide them in the notes to financial statement. Okay? Now, let us focus on liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratios are ratios that measures the ability of the company to pay its short-term debt obligation when they fall due. So, moreover, it measures the capacity of the company to convert short-term asset into cash. Okay? So, we have here the different ratios: current ratio, quick ratio, cash ratio, and working capital to total asset ratio. Now, for current ratio, it is also termed as working capital ratio. Okay? It indicates whether or not the company has sufficient resources to pay its debt obligation that are due within 12 months. Okay? The higher the current ratio, the higher the ability of the firm to pay its short-term obligation. But is it healthy for the firm to maintain a very high current ratio? Okay? The answer probably would be no. Okay? Why? Because it shows that the firm, okay, is not using or utilizing the cash, okay, efficiently. Okay? Say for example, for every peso liability, you have 10, okay, peso current asset. Okay? So you have probably inventory, okay, cash. So it shows that the inventory, okay, is not being sold, okay, efficiently. So the turnover is not that fast. Even the cash balance, okay, shows that this asset is not being used efficiently. On the other hand, if you will have a very low current ratio, it poses risk, okay, in terms of debt, okay, or liability. Say for example, if the current ratio is 0.10, okay, for every peso liability, you only have 10 centavo, okay, current asset to cover that liability. So it's very risky. It may result to bankruptcy. Okay, so this ratio will present the financial health of the firm. Okay, the acceptable current ratio varies for different industry. Okay? However, it is commonly ranging from 1.5 is to 1 and 2 is to 1. If the current ratio is higher than acceptable level, okay, this may signify that the company is not utilizing its current asset efficiently. In the contrary, low current ratio means that the company will have difficulty in paying its short-term debt. So how to compute current ratio? We have here the formula. Total current asset, divide this by total current liability. Okay, so let us provide an example. Lead company's statement of financial position for the year 2018 shows cash amounting to 250,000, marketable security 25,000, accounts receivable 50,000, inventories of 75,000. while the non-current asset of 600,000 and total shareholders' equity and long-term debt amounted to 600,000 and 200,000 respectively. What is the current ratio? Okay, so the formula again is total current asset. You have to add 250, okay, plus 25, plus 75, plus 50. Okay, so that's your total current asset. Okay, now, how about current liability? Since we have here shareholders' equity, okay, 600, long-term debt, 200, deduct it from the total asset. Okay, so total current asset plus non-current asset, that's your total asset. Deduct it by 600 equity and 200 debt. So the remaining amount will be your total non-current liability. Okay? So this is our solution. Suggested answer is 2:1. Okay? 250 plus 25 plus 50 plus 75 divided by 1 million. Okay? Less 600,000 and 200,000. So that is for your current ratio. Now let's proceed to quick ratio. Okay? It is a more stringent, stricter measure of ability of the company to pay its short-term debt obligation using quick asset. Okay? So in this particular ratio, we are not going to consider inventory because inventory, okay, needs to be disposed or sold, okay, in order for it to be considered, no, as part of quick ratio. So inventory is not a quick asset, okay? It is not easily converted into cash, okay? The quick asset used are composed of most liquid asset, which is cash, and those highly liquid current asset that are easily convertible into cash, such as marketable securities and accounts receivable. Okay? Among the current asset, the inventories are excluded as component of quick asset because of its difficulty to convert into cash. Thus, it is considered as less liquid current asset. Now, to illustrate quick ratio, we have here the formula. Okay? Current asset less inventories divided by total current liability, or simply add cash plus marketable security plus AR divided by total current liability. Okay? So we have illustrative problem. Parex company has total current asset and total current liabilities amounting to 400,000 and 200,000 respectively. The current assets are composed of cash amounting to 100,000, marketable securities of 45,000, and accounts receivable of 95,000. Inventories of 160,000. What is quick ratio? Okay. So inventory in this case will not be included. Okay. Just add cash amounting to 100,000 plus 45,000 plus 95,000. Exclude 160,000. Divide this by total current liability of 200,000. So our quick ratio is 1.2 is to 1. Let's proceed to cash ratio. It is considered as the most stringent, okay, and conservative among the liquidity ratio. Why? Because it only uses cash and cash equivalent in paying the short-term obligation. Okay? So, in acid test ratio, okay, or quick ratio, this is acid test ratio. Okay? We disregarded inventory. Now, in cash ratio, we also do not consider inventory as well as receivable. Okay? This ratio shows the comparison of most liquid asset, okay, such as cash and marketable security. Cash, of course, it is already considered as, okay, liquid in the sense that it can be disposed. You can use it to pay your obligation. Marketable security, okay, such as short-term investments. You just need to sell it, okay, online, and it will be converted into cash. It will be credited in your account, so you can use it, okay, to pay the current liability. On the other hand, receivable, okay, requires additional effort to collect the obligation from your debtor. And sometimes, as we all know, okay, the debt, okay, may be written off or considered as bad debt expense if the debtor fail, okay, to pay his or her obligation. Okay. Now, to illustrate further, we have IYSB company, total current asset and liability amounting to 400,000 and 200,000 respectively. The current assets are composed of cash amounting to 100,000, marketable securities of 50,000, accounts receivable of 90,000, and inventory of 160,000. So disregard, okay, inventory, disregard receivable, consider cash 100,000, marketable security 50,000, divide this by 200,000. So your cash ratio is 0.75 is to 1. Okay, it is a stricter test compared to acid test ratio. Okay, because it only considers the so-called cash and cash equivalent as well as marketable security. The working capital to total asset ratio, okay, provides that a company having higher value of current asset over value of current liability, okay, will show a high working capital ratio. Okay? So this is the potential value of cash reserve. Okay? It is the difference between the total current asset and total current liability. Okay? This is sometimes called as net working capital. So net working capital is current asset minus current liability. Okay? So financial managers often compare this net working capital over the value of total asset. Hence, the working capital to total asset ratio is calculated using this formula. Okay? Current asset minus current liability over total asset. Illustrative example, JMS Company. Statement of financial position for year 2018 shows the total current asset of 200,000 and the non-current asset of 300,000. Okay, so 200 plus 300, that's your total asset. Total shareholders' equity and long-term debt are, okay, 300 and 100,000. So the non-current liability, 100,000. How about the current liability? So you have to deduct a total shareholders' equity and total long-term debt from the total asset to get the current liability. So what is the amount of net working capital? What is the net working capital to total asset ratio? We have here the suggested solution. So the net working capital is total current asset, that is 200,000, minus total current liability, 100,000. So the net working capital, 100,000. Divide this amount by total asset, okay, of 500,000. So this is 500,000. Okay. So we have here the net working capital to total asset ratio is 20%. Okay. So the higher the net working capital, the better. Okay. And that is for the so-called liquidity ratio.